Throughout the history of video games, there has been a wide variety of different weapons, ranging from the realistic, to the silly, to the downright crazy. But what are my personal favourite weapons? So in this video today I'm going to be counting down what are my personal top 10 gaming weapons. So these are not necessarily the best weapons or the most powerful, but they are my favourite to use in video games. There is two main bits of admin which I need to get out of the way. Firstly, these weapons will not be class specific. So a good example of that would be Team Fortress 2, Team Fortress 2 or Overwatch, where characters can only use certain weapons. These weapons can be used regardless of, I guess, class. I guess that makes sense, even though like most of the time you're only playing as one character. But yeah, so I just wanted to say no class specific weapons like the bow for the sniper, or I don't know, maybe like Reaper's shotguns, that type of example. Second thing, I'm limiting it to 2 weapons per franchise, so any more than that and they won't be included, even if they're good weapons. A good example of this would be the plasma rifle from the Doom series. I do like that weapon, but because of the ruling of this list, I will not be including it in the video. The other thing is, this list, I'm not going to lie, is mainly gun-based weapons. There are 1 or 2 exceptions, but this is mainly guns. So you won't see anything like the Keyblades from Kingdom Hearts or any type of, well, most type of swords in this list. But anyway, let's jump into the video and see what's what. Number 10, the Plasma Sniper from Terminator Resistance. So this is going to be a very odd choice, I'm not going to lie. Like, considering all of the video games out there, why would I pick a random sniper from a Terminator game that's probably not the most played? Well, the simple answer is the damage it can do to the tier 100s. So when going through the game, this is a little bit of a spoiler if anyone hasn't played it. So for the majority of the game you have access to standard bullets which can't do damage. Then you get access to red plasma, and only at the end of the game can you get access to like what we think of as normal plasma, like purple. So the majority of the game you're going to be using red plasma weapons. Well, the red sniper can do a serious amount of damage. Like, it can take down T825s or T800s in one shot. It is very powerful against the Terminators, which is good because the standard red plasma rifle doesn't actually, well, doesn't do a terrible amount of damage, but it's definitely a lot slower. And also, of course, the advantage with a sniper is you can get them from much further away, which is definitely a big plus. So whenever I'm doing long distance maps, even when sometimes doing close range, like in Annihilation Line, I try and use the sniper so I get headshots with Terminators. So yeah, that's the reason why I've actually got on my list. Number 9, the Famas from Call of Duty Black Ops. So this gun has actually had a couple of different variants in the past. There's the Modern Warfare 2 one, which is kind of semi-automatic, but this one is definitely my go-to when it comes to Call of Duty Black Ops. This gun for me was easily my main go-to weapon when I ever played multiplayer, and this is still to this day one of my all-time favourite multiplayers that I've ever played. Like, it's definitely a good amount of fun. It's also the only Call of Duty I go back to. But yes, going back to the weapon. So the weapon itself has a good amount of customization. It has has a customizable retina, customizable skin. It's, like I said, semi-automatic. I also like the way that the gun sounds as well when fired. So I know that's a small thing, but when you're playing for a long time, it can maybe make a small difference. But yeah, I really enjoy using the Famas in Black Ops. Black Ops in general, I think, has generally a good range of weapons. It also has the wonder weapons from zombies. I did consider putting those on the list, but at the end of the day, I kind of enjoy using the Famas the most. Number 8, Her Majesty from Cyberpunk 2077. specifically the Phantom Liberty DLC. So this weapon is definitely one of my go-tos when it comes to Cyberpunk. Admittedly, this is not in the base game for Cyberpunk, but the Phantom Liberty DLC is honestly one of the best DLCs I've ever played, and this has become one of my favourite weapons to use. So Her Majesty is basically a silenced pistol, which is really handy for stealth runs. So yeah, when I play Cyberpunk, I do for the most time, when I'm in gigs specifically, try to do stealth runs. So that means I resort to net running and hacks, and of course silenced weapons, and also invisibility dash. So yes, having all those and having a silenced pistol really helps out with trying to keep a stealthy mission intact. There is one or two moments, admittedly, where I don't use it properly, but for the most part, this is a really fun weapon from Cyberpunk. And that's saying to it, considering Cyberpunk has a very good weapons list, I'd say. They've got tech weapons, they've got smart weapons. Spoiler, I was actually very close to putting the smart sniper on this list, actually, from Cyberpunk. But in the end, I decided to go with two other weapons. So, spoiler, this is not the first time you'll see Cyberpunk on this list. But yes, the reason I decided to put this on this, I'm saying on this, the reason I liked this weapon more than the smart sniper is mainly because it's really handy for close-up stealth runs. So at the end of the day, that's why I've given this as my number 8 spot on the list. Number 7, the Tesla Cannon from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. So this is technically two slightly different weapons, but they operate almost identically the same. So the one in Fallout 3, admittedly, is DLC related. I can't remember the name of the DLC in question. I think it's the Brotherhood expansion where you take on the Enclave. But yeah, this weapon is really powerful, especially against robots who are weak to electric attacks. So yes, because when you fire the weapon, not only does it do initial damage, but it also does effectively like burn damage. So yeah, electrocution type damage. So yes, this weapon can be very powerful against most enemies, like giant rat scorpions, robots. It can be really dangerous. Now the Fallout New Vegas one works. It works similar, but it's orange instead of blue. So yes. Admittedly, when I'm recording this video, I haven't tried out the Fallout New Vegas. I haven't tried out the Fallout New Vegas Tesla Cannon for a while, so I can't remember if there's a difference. But I believe there's a slight modifier on the Fallout New Vegas one, so it is technically stronger than the Fallout 3 one. But yes, both are very powerful against most enemies. It's very enjoyable to use, and that's why it's number 7 on my list. Number 6, the Energy Sword from the Halo franchise. So, admittedly, this might be the most iconic weapon on this list, because the Halo Sword is probably one of the all-time great weapons in gaming. So, if somehow you're unfamiliar with the Halo Sword, with the Energy Sword from Halo, this is most of the time a one-hit kill. Admittedly, if an enemy has has a shield, then it might be a 2-hit kill. Also, if your opponent has a energy sword, then it might be a case which you have to better them in attacks. But yes, the energy sword is, I think, been in every Halo title from when it began in Combat Evolved all the way up to the modern ones like Infinite. So the design has hardly changed over the years. Infinite introduced the red energy sword, which I think does look quite neat. But yeah, for the most part, this is what you'd expect. Energy sword, 1 kill, melee, good night. Now, obviously, the Halo sword, I don't know why I keep calling it Halo sword. The energy sword is pretty powerful, but it takes a master to properly use it, I suspect. So that's probably and also it's not, like I said, it's not that easy to use in certain scenarios. So that's why for me, I've only got it at number 6 on this list. Number 5, the Gravity Gun from Half-Life 2. So when I said about iconic weapons in the last entry with the energy sword, this has also got to be in that debate for most iconic weapon of all time. So the energy sword revolutionized physics for video games, you could say, in Half-Life 2, and it's easily one of the most fun weapons I've come across in any video game. So the way the energy gun works is basically you right click and it can grab most objects like boxes or paint cans or orbs or things like that. It can even grab this is a spoiler alert, by the way. Later on in the Half-Life 2 game, and also at the start of one of the DLCs, it can also grab members of the Combine when it's supercharged, which is really fun. So yes, the Gravity Gun is probably has its showcase event, I'd say, at Ravensholm. I think that's the proper pronunciation. I might be pronouncing that wrong. But yes, so the Gravity Gun is also key to solving puzzles as well. Yeah, the Gravity Gun is also very key to solving puzzles. And actually, on that note, another gun which I was generally considering putting on this list was the portal guns. But the only reason that I didn't decide to put those on the list is because, yes, they're very good at solving puzzles, but they don't have too much firepower. But I would say they're an honourable mention. So yes. But yes, so this is key to solving puzzles when it comes to Half-Life. It can be used to fling things right across the level, which is always fun, and it's just generally a fun weapon. So that's why it's number 5 on this list. Number 4, the Malorian Arms 3516 from Cyberpunk 2077. So I mentioned earlier that Cyberpunk had 2 entries on this list, and this is the other gun which is my go-to for me. So Her Majesty I use for stealth missions. This is one of my favourite weapons to use when it comes to like out and out combat, when I don't need to rely on stealth, because there's a couple of reasons. First off, this is arguably one of my favourite. This has arguably one of my favourite animations from any video game weapon when you're firing it, or especially when you're reloading it. Second, the audio on this weapon is really, I don't know, it's just really satisfying when it comes to a lot of weapons I've come across over the years. And third, it's just a nice looking weapon overall. I guess you could also say that this gun has arguably become the most identifiable with Cyberpunk because of Johnny Silverhand. But yes, very fun weapon to use. I also came across this as a mod for Fallout 4, and that's become one of my favourite mods as well to use in that game. So yes, very enjoyable game. Reloads are so animations are really nice. Gun sounds are also really nice, and yeah, I just really like this weapon. It's my go-to in Cyberpunk, and that's why for me it's number 4 on this list. Number 3, the BFG 9000 from the Doom series. So I've been talking about iconic video game weapons like the energy sword and also the gravity gun. This is arguably the most iconic weapon of all time. So the BFG 9000 was introduced in the original Doom series in 1993 as like the big boss weapon, and it's still one of the best boss weapons in video games today for sure. It's been in multiple video games over the years. It's been in Doom, Doom 2, Ultimate Doom, Doom 64, and of course the modern Doom titles. And each iteration it's had, well, most iterations it's had a bit of a different design, but it's still the best weapon. Well, I'd say it's pretty much the best weapon in Doom, apart from maybe the Unreal Maker in Doom 64. But yes, so whenever you get this weapon, it is definitely a powerful one. The only reason it's not high on this list is because is because in Doom 2016, this is not a weapon which you can use all the time. This is like a limited shot. It's still majorly powerful, but you've only limited for 3 shots at a time, and then you have to find some new ammo. That's probably the only reason I've got it slightly low down on my list. And also there are some really fun weapons as well. But yes, arguably the most iconic weapon in video game history. It is definitely one of the most powerful that I can remember coming across. And yeah, definitely worthy of my top 3. Number 2, the Fatman from the Fallout series. So with this one, this is going back to the Tesla canon, so this has a little bit of a caveat, but I'll explain. So I was saying about signature weapons from video games, and like what we think of when we think of that franchise. When we think of Fallout, we think of the Fatman, that's for sure. So I believe the Fatman has been in every Fallout title, if I'm correct, at least the main releases. Obviously I never properly played Fallout 1 and 2, but it's definitely been in Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, and I believe Fallout 76. So the purpose of the Fatman is basically just you're launching a bunch of mini nukes, which can be devastating, especially for certain variants. So the most powerful variant I could come across when it came to Fallout 3, I believe was the multi-shot one. So basically you could shoot, I think it's like 6 or 7 mini nuke projectiles at once, which is mega powerful. I know in Fallout, I also know in Fallout 4 there is 2 extra type of Fatmans called the Fatman Extra Projectile, which a bit like Fallout 3 launches extra projectiles but only launches 3 this time, but I believe they are a bigger damage radius. And then you've got the nuke launcher, which uses like Nuka-Cola type fuel, so it produces a blue explosion, which is quite unique. But yes, this is one of those silly weapons which I mentioned earlier. It can do a serious amount of damage to enemies. It definitely helps out boss battles, especially like against the Mylark Queen. And yes, definitely one of the most fun weapons I've ever come across in a video game, that's for sure. And whenever I have cheats on, like for Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4, I always tend to use Fatman because you can just spam nukes like constantly. It's just really fun and really funny. Also seeing the enemies ragdoll as well in the older Fallout games too. But while this is arguably the most fun weapon, there is one weapon which for me, there isn't any shadow of doubt, is my favourite weapon of all time, and now I'm going to explain why. Number 1, the Super Shotgun from the Doom franchise. So when I was making this list, and this has only happened once or twice, I knew what my number 1 was going to be for this list, even before I started recording it. The Super Shotgun from the Doom franchise. So I mentioned that Doom had some of the best, arguably the best weapons in video games, like the BFG and the plasma rifle, but for me, no weapon I've come across has ever beaten my love for the Super Shotgun from the Doom franchise. So this was introduced in Doom 2 basically as a double barrel version of the standard shotgun, and what a difference it makes. It really does. Like this shot, like the Super Shotgun is powerful against most enemies like Lost Souls, Imps, Soldiers, and yeah, it's also a pretty decent weapon when it comes to most enemies as well. Like Cacodemons, sorry, I had to remember what the enemies were. Cacodemons is definitely an example where like you can use this and I think it kills them like in 3 shots. Hell Knights as well, you can kill them in a few shots using the Super Shotgun. And yeah, just like with the BFG as well, this has had a few different versions over the years, like with Doom 64, Doom 2, Doom 3, and of course the modern Dooms as well. So yeah, this is just a really fun weapon. It's not overpowered. So it still presents a bit of a challenge, but it does present a decent amount of strength that it can do a decent amount of damage. So this weapon is basically one which I like because it's not overpowered, but if you use it right, it can be very dangerous against most enemies. Yes, so I've even tried, I think, to use this on the Cyber Demon and the Cyber Demon in the past, because that is a challenge, but the weapon is definitely really fun to use. So yes, and also in fairness, the latest one, like Doom Eternal, it also has a grapple hook as well, so you can use the grapple hook while hunting down your enemies as well, which also adds another level of fun to the super shotgun. So yes, in the Doom version, now when it comes to the Doom 2016 version, the super shotgun I don't think has any modifiers, unlike the other weapons, so that's the only negative I can think. But yes, whenever I play with this weapon, it's always fun to use. So yes, it's easily, as long as the enemies aren't too overpowered, this is easily my go-to when it comes to Doom. It's also one of my favourite weapons to use in Garry's Mod as well, because Garry's Mod has obviously mods. So yes, yeah, so easily go-to, and I think I've rambled on long enough. So yes, this is my favourite weapon in video games for sure, the Super Shotgun from the Doom franchise.